you're well. Good morning, guys. Over good evening. Some people it's evening where they are. Some people it's afternoon. For us it's morning, and it's a rainy morning. We just put some AC and I clear this window. So it's a rainy morning, but all the same we move. So in front of me are two SUVs. There's that Land Cruiser, the TX, and then there's a RAV4. Both cars serve the same purpose, but the consumption is different. The other one takes 3,500 cc, and then this one is 2.0. Now, majority of people still can't afford either of them. Fuel. Now, of course, you have to make a car sometimes. And then you drive a RAV4 when you should actually be driving a Corolla. I don't normally advise. So today we're going to be breaking myths, making sure that you don't get deceived. Lots of people get deceived every day, but I don't want any of my followers to be one of those guys to be deceived. I may say some truths that will not sit well, very well with you guys. But well, in my experience and looking at most people, it's very important that we break these myths. Because if we don't break these myths, abantu bangi bagenda sigala nga bakola loss mu bintu bino. Good morning, Kenneth. And yeah, it has been a very rainy morning, and I think some places it has rained more than others. You can even see the clouds nazo zikoye. Yeah, and I think it's going to be generally cold morning. Yeah, so some myths that we need to break. It's important because normally what happens is everybody that gets cheated, yes, Kenneth, thank you, everybody that gets cheated, it starts as a common thing. This is normal, we do this every day. You get, I was reading a post on Twitter yesterday. Because someone was saying that the Speaker of Parliament, since she took office, she has been hiring people irregularly, that she doesn't follow the procedure of hiring staff at Parliament, that she has hired daughters and sons of friends and family, and some people don't even have jobs, they don't even have offices, but they receive salaries, they are even pensionable and all. And then someone posted and said, because people were talking about this chick that posted in Gabagamba, why are you talking about this? And then someone was saying it's wrong whether someone is getting a job or not. They are not getting it the right way. There are people that should actually be getting those jobs, but they are not getting the jobs because there is someone who is related to it, and I know the speaker, and she gets the jobs. Then someone was posting and saying, we live in a Uganda where it's okay for people to accept the wrong. That so you become a bad person. And it's the people that have accepted wrong that are considered good. Anybody that talks about the wrong that happens in society in Uganda today is considered a bad person. That person is making my way to school, that, and let me let him go. So apparently that's how it is in Uganda. Corruption is no more. So if you say anything against corruption, because there are so many recipients of corruption, then you get. So everything that is wrong that is being done, you should just watch it or chileke chigende maso, because it's the norm. But today I want to break myths. I want to break some myths that, so that you don't go and get deceived. Morning, Moses. So that you don't go and get deceived at any moment. Yeah, so this is the northern bypass, cold morning. It started raining, I think, at around 5. And in some parts it rained more than others. Yeah, so it's important that we understand. Normally when you go to buy a car, there are two people that lie to you. There are three people lie to you when you go to buy a car. The first person that lies to you is the broker. The broker lies. The broker lies. At that moment, the broker doesn't care if he dies, but he will lie to you. The broker lies because his survival depends on it. His survival depends on the fact that he lies properly so that you actually buy. You buy the car whether it's good or bad. His survival depends on it, so he lies. That's the first category of people that you need to be very careful about when you go to buy a car. Be careful with brokers. It's like it's their job to lie. Because if they don't lie, they don't make a sale. You get? So they lie. Brokers lie. The second category of people that will lie to you, actually the brokers are so bad they will influence the other two categories of people to also lie to you. You get? Because normally when you go to buy a car, you will go with a mechanic. The assumption is that the mechanic is on your side. That's the assumption. The assumption is that the mechanic is on your side. That this mechanic will look out for your best interest. The broker, not so much. The only difference is that sometimes brokers are our relatives. Especially for ladies. You're a lady, you have an uncle that has driven cars for some time, or whatever. I choose some motor all the time, so you think, okay, if I want to buy a car, then I have to go to Uncle Arthur. Good morning, Nico. I have to go to Uncle Arthur and then he helps me buy a car. Little do you know that Uncle Arthur is actually a broker of cars, because you did not know that there was a profession or a practice called brokerage of cars. Kumbe Uncle Arthur is actually a broker of cars. So you go to Uncle Arthur to help you get a good car, but Uncle Arthur is actually a broker. So under circumstances like this one, Uncle Arthur is also the mechanic for you, because it's going to help you figure out if the car is nice. You get? Uncle Arthur is also the mechanic under these circumstances. Now, if your broker is also your mechanic, things are bad for you. So we talked about 3 categories of liars that you need to watch out for. The first category, that X20 is good, the resale value is low if you're going to resell, but it's a good car if you can get it. Whether driven here or in the bond, it's actually a very reliable car. So the broker will lie to you. The broker will influence every other person in the vicinity to lie to you. The broker will even go to the neighbors and tell them to lie to you. You get? People that have bought land will know that when you're going to buy land, you have to actually go back to the ground without the broker and then ask the neighbors. There's a time I was going to buy a plot. A broker took me to this plot of land and they even gave me a title copy. I went and searched and the title was okay. But then I said, let me go back to the ground. When I went back to the ground, the plot he showed me belonged to another person. Morning, Simon. The plot belonged to another person. So what I did is I told the person to take me to the real owner of the plot. And I went to the real owner of the plot. And that's how I knew that brokers are bad. You get it? So it's important that we understand. The second category of people that will lie to you and their cause is noble to them. I normally tell people that nobody is actually bad in the world. They have to survive. And normally because you stand in their way of their survival, they kick you. So the second category of people that will lie to you are the car owners. Yeah? Nanyini motoka agenda kulimba. Ata kulimba nga tafa nayo. At the moment, normally when people decide to sell their cars, they don't sell their cars because it's a trendy thing to sell cars. No. They sell their cars because they have a need to sell the car. Whether they are going to upgrade the car, get a better car, or whether they are selling to top up money to buy a plot of land, or they have a medical emergency, or they have to pay back a loan in the bank. Trust me, the person that is selling a car needs to sell. So because of that reason, that person might lie to you. But sometimes this person doesn't actually want to lie to you. He lies little. You know the simple lies that car owners, when they are selling, tell, the other lies, nakachikola service. Breaks impia, is a shock to zina buzibu. Those are simple lies. These lies I've told you to sit through, because I've told you if you're going to buy a car, just have money for shock absorbers because they are normally fried. Have money for tires. Now they will lie to you. Wira alignment yali emipiira jange mbadde nakagisaako oba banguze ebichupuli by'emipiira naye ng'egyo emipiira nakagigula. You get it? But just know these are lies. These are simple lies. Now if there is ever a big lie that a car owner will tell you, or a seller, it will be because they have been influenced by a broker. Things like engine tebagisibangamu. Things gearbox eyibadde ekyusa when the gearbox is fried. Now this is something that a broker will normally tell this person. Things like omuntu ali mukadi mumanyi mukubire muzeyi namulaba nako just sakola transfer. Those are big lies, because most of the times if someone buys a car and they don't transfer, nobody wishes to have a car that is not in their names. When people don't transfer cars to their names, they have a reason, and these reasons are sometimes much more complicated than you might think. Sometimes they don't transfer a car because the person in the logbook, the owner, the real owner of the car, is not accessible. Sometimes they cannot do a transfer well because the car is not in the right procedure. Some cars are stolen. Let me tell you one thing. Sometimes a car may get stolen, and in the process of continuing to look for the car, the owner, the real owner of the car, dies. Now this car cannot be transferred, but the owner is not there to claim. And sometimes the relatives don't know which car it was, they don't know which number plate it was, and all that. You get? So sometimes people steal cars and they kill the owners. You've heard of stories where they steal cars and kill special hire drivers. You've heard of those stories. Now under such circumstances, you will realize that the relatives, because they have this sadness of omuntu waffe say, sometimes even the special hire drivers, they buy cars, and because they want to keep it from their wives, they don't tell their wives about these cars. Kati bwe bamutta ne bagibba, the wife doesn't know that actually her husband had a car. They think emotoka ebadde ya mugagga anaginoonya, so they don't really look for the cars. And emotoka nesigala nga ekyatamala naye nga nnyini yo baakola ki? Bamutta bussi. You get? So under such circumstances, give me a minute. Okay, just a minute, guys. So guys, I'm back. We are still talking about the three categories of people that lie to you when you're going to buy a car. And we say the first one is the broker, the second one is the car owner. Now, some of these lies are very petty lies that they tell for you to take the car because aba yetaga sent at that moment. But there are some more advanced lies that they will tell because majority of the time I'll tell you that when a car has a very serious problem, like oba bagibabubi, oba engine yakuba, oba ogenda kivugayo week emwe, the brokers normally know. Okitegeera. Broker, even if the broker is your father. Let me tell you one thing about brokers, by the way. A broker, even if your father is your father, the moment he becomes a broker, akuba. Brokers don't care about anyone. I'm sure you guys have heard of stories of chicks and guys that go to Dubai and then they send money to their fathers or mothers in Kampala or in a village somewhere, and then this money is probably to buy a plot of land, but the plot of land is not bought at all. And good morning, Martha. The plot of land is not bought, the house is not built, but the money is eaten. Now just imagine a mother or father of someone, a real mother and father of someone can do that. Ngamumanyi. What of? For me, but you made for you guys.
No, I didn't.
Even for Aban.
He has something.
Okay. So just imagine what the broker can do. Just know that most of the times when a car has a major problem, the broker knows, because that's the first due diligence they make. That's why when you go to buy a car, you need to make sure that you do inspection. Make sure that you have someone that is unbiased at all. Because the car owner will also lie to you. Because they said there are cars that are bad. For example, if you're going to be buying a Terios, let nobody lie to you that there's anyone selling their car Terios in good condition. Normally when people are selling the Terios, when someone is selling a Derica, you know those Mitsubishi Dericas, it's very hard for someone to find someone selling, because normally there are cars that are bought because they want. You will not find someone that goes to the Bond to buy a RAV4 and they tell them you buy a Terios. No. The people that normally buy Terioses, they want to buy Terioses. The people that buy Pajero GDIs normally want to buy Pajero GDIs. Okujako nga mugwagwa. You get, eh? So a person that buys a car with that kind of passion, it's very hard for you to find them selling it when it's still in good condition. Normally they sell because this car has disturbed them and they are tired. So they may not want to lie to you. They may want to tell you, what was sensei, afa, bichi, or they tone it down. But normally when the problem is big and they tone it down a lot, the broker has told them, tomugamba chino mugambe chino. Because the broker at that moment is looking at his cut. Probably the seller is actually selling like 10 million and the broker has told you 15. So that when you bargain, you stop at 12. And they have told the seller, ngaenda kutunda 12 million, wagambye otunda 10, ku 10 nyinako ompako emitwalo 3, naye zine bbiri tozitunulira. So they bring you and they make sure they play their game properly. In the agreement you'll write 12, but the real seller is actually getting 10. You get, eh? So it's important that you understand. The seller will lie to you, but normally the seller is not out to lie to you. The seller is out to sell. So the seller is normally not a very bad person. Not a bad person at all. His goal is to sell, and he will follow what the broker is telling him to do, because the broker has told him this is the only way we can sell. That's why normally when people call me and they say I tell you I'm not a broker. Okay? But what we can do is whenever you're ready, you bring my fees, because I charge to go and check for you. You give me my money, put it in my pocket, and then we start moving. We'll see many brokers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be your guardian angel. You can bring your mechanic along, I will bring my mechanic along, and then we see what to do. Okitegeera kati then ffe tugende tulaba broker tukebere motoka. You get? So I'm not a broker. Why? For someone to be a broker, one of the things they need to do is to probably cut off blood to the heart, I think. Being a broker is one of the hardest things ever. I'm telling you. Okay. So being a broker is one of the hardest things. For someone to be a broker, they cut off blood supply to their heart. They stop feeling, I'm telling you. A broker will steal from their own, you get from their own brother. So we have already talked about two categories of people that will lie to you. The broker will definitely lie to you. The second category is the seller. The third category is they don't really intend to lie to you. It's the mechanic. But you know the mechanic has a conflict of interest most of the time. This dude is late. You see he's running.
I take for them. That one is a lead.
Is what?
He's very late.
Yeah, their staff.
You know, he works for secondary, and for him, it's a much. Yeah, sometimes.
So, the mechanic normally doesn't really want to lie to you. The mechanic doesn't want to lie to you. But you know the mechanic has a conflict of interest. One, he needs a client who is you. If you don't buy a car, you'll not be his mechanic. Bye. He will not be your mechanic. Also, and mechanics are in a tough spot. So that's why normally when you take a mechanic to check the car for you, you'll put him in a tight spot at home. If you don't buy a car, you may not become his client. But if you don't buy a car with him, you will definitely not become his client. So Mutwala to check a car for you, his goal is to make sure that you actually buy a car when he's there, because you may go to buy a car somewhere else and you can't be with him, and you buy with another mechanic, a step mechanic, which means that other mechanic will become your mechanic. So that's the conflict of interest they have. So they have to actually make sure that you buy a car. I don't know if I'm clear. So for them to make sure that you buy a car, sometimes they will downplay the mechanical issues the car has. For example, the car might actually have engine issues. When the engine actually has like a sound. But you know what the mechanic will tell you? The mechanic will tell you, akakakabo karaba. Oilo tanalinya. When the cylinder head has actually a problem. You get it? So he will downplay the issue to make sure that you people go with the car. Because every issue that is in that car, you will need him to fix it. So it's in his interest to make sure that he downplays the problems the car has, so that you buy a car and he has a job. The other thing that you need to understand, that these days, because new cars are on the road, most of the issues that these new cars have are wiring issues. It means that the people that are making money are the guys that have diagnostic machine and in a computer, and the wiring guys and the paint guys, the spray guys. These are the categories of people that make money. Mechanics are not making as much money as they used to in the past. Why are they not making as much money? Because abantu abasinga tuvuga motoka namu. You can imagine I drive my car 85 kilometers every day and it doesn't break down. And even when it breaks down, if the engine was to break down, I'm prepared to go buy a new engine. Chitegez, I'm not going to pay my mechanic money to overhaul the engine. So I can go to the place where I'm buying the engine and they just place the engine in the car. And that's all. You get, it means the more new cars that come on the road, the more good conditioned cars come on the road, the more these mechanics actually run out of jobs, out of customers. So if you buy a car that has some faults, it means for him, he's going to have something to do and money to get out of you. So mechanics actually have a conflict of interest. It's not that they are bad or something. They lie to you because taina chakora. You get what I'm saying? So you need to understand that. So the mechanic will lie to you, not intentionally. He has to downplay some of the issues bw'ogamba shocks ngaafu ezo shocks ojja zivuga gwe tofaayo. You get? You need to realize that as a broker is working on his commission, he's going to also give the mechanic. That's why I normally tell you people, otwala omuntu to check for you a car, just know there is money waiting for him where he is going. Era bwe mutuuka broker kyagenda okusooka okukola kwe kwata ku mechanic ono amuzze ebbali abenga alina kyamugamba, then amugamba ngenda kukwata ano. And just like that, your mechanic is making 500,000. And trust me, the mechanic is not your brother. The mechanic probably has 5 kids to feed. So you can't tell him to leave this 500,000 to keep the friendship with you for what? You get it? You need to understand that. And you're not going to pay him 500K. So when we go to check a car, normally when I go with people, you go with your mechanic and I watch him stammer and I watch him connive with the other person. You get, sometimes they even come back to me bagenda tuwayata. You get it? But for me, my brand is much more important than 500K, because I know that my brand built for 5 years will be much stronger than this. Okitegeera. Now relying on you. Okay. I find that traffic is actually fair these days. Traffic takyali mungi because I'm after gari. Most people don't actually drive their cars, so it's actually fair. Yeah. So I'm on Chisota Road now, and it's moving fairly. I'm going to go up all the way up to Bukoto. So it's important for you to understand that the mechanic will lie to you, first of all, because he's being paid to lie to you by the broker. Okay, normally the car seller has nothing to do with how much money the mechanic receives to lie to you, because the car seller at that moment is really confused. You see how brokers confuse buyers? They confuse even the sellers. So the seller is confused. The seller, most of the times when they are selling, like 10 brokers have come to them already and they are tired, they just want the car to go. So the seller will not even care what the mechanic does, but the broker will. The broker will know what to do with the mechanic. Actually, sometimes you'll find that the broker and the mechanic have met somewhere, still selling a car to someone. You get? And if it's in Kampala, chances are high that your mechanic knows the broker, even when they pretend to not know. They will actually say, now and then they will even abuse each other sometimes to make it. So I hope I've broken that myth. People will lie to you when you're going to buy a car. They will lie to you. It's their job at that moment to lie to you. So you need to keep your ears open and your eyes open when you go to buy a car. That's why it's important for you to know the average prices for cars before you go to the market. Because you'll go and buy a car at 12 million that you're supposed to buy at 8. Simply because you did not know what the average price for cars is. And sometimes when I tell people that this car costs this much, they will say, oh yeah, you get a chi. Tamanyi motoka. Motoka isn't. But I'm telling you, those cars are there. Normally when I tell you don't buy Ipsam more than 6 million, I'm telling you because I know at 6 million the Ipsam should almost be new. And when I tell you don't buy a Picnic, I'm telling you that because you're going to drive it for the rest of your life. It has no resale value and people never look for it. You get? Also, when I tell you if you want to buy a Kruger, don't buy a Kruger, go and buy a Harrier. I'm trying to tell you that people look for Harriers more than Krugers, because the Kruger is sexy as a Harrier, and normally people that have their money also want to drive sexy things. They want to drive sexy cars, you get? So we have broken the myth of the car buying process and which people are actually going to lie to you. So don't be deceived to think that anybody in the circle where you go to buy a car likes you or is your friend. You get? None of those guys is actually your friend. None of those guys will care about you. Sometimes, like Council Yunus told you, the broker told him, they will even demand you for 6 years. So council units went ahead and paid for the Mark X. But the agreement said he has to pay over in 4 months. And then he realized he could not get the money they demanded him in 4 months. He took back the car. And just like that, he paid 3 million for having a car for 5 days. You get? So it's important for you to understand. And normally, you should not be deceived also that word agreements apply when you're buying a car. Whatever you say in the word doesn't matter. People don't stand by their word. People are, I don't want to use the statement bad, people are survivalists. They want to survive, so they'll say anything. Even when you're selling a car, for example, let me tell you this. You cannot go and just if you sold the car to someone and they have balance and they have not paid the full amount, you cannot just go and take their car, because once they pay some money and they take the car, it's theirs. It's no longer yours. So you cannot just go and take their car, impound it. That's why when you're buying cars from the bond, they have a clause in their agreements that says, if he fails to pay, if she fails to pay, the car will be impounded without assistance of police, without assistance of court. They don't need permission from court to take that car. That's why they put that clause there. So when you're selling a car, always make sure you also put that clause there, that in case that person fails to pay the amount agreed on for a specified period of time, that you can go and impound that car without consulting anyone. If you looked at car agreements currently, they have that clause, because previously you had to go to court, get a court order, and then when you get a court order, smanya advertise in the newspaper, and then they impound the car at your cost and take it to the court. They park it there. Okay? Now when they park it there, if that person fails to pay, it takes some time still for the court to give you back the car. Sometimes the car can rot from there. Now, the people that don't pay, let me tell you one thing. Buyers that don't like to pay debts, people that don't like to pay debts, money, and they have not been paying debts for hundreds of years. They have experience in not paying. You'll find that the same person that did not pay for the previous car, they are just dishonest people. You get? So they know how to survive dishonestly. So the person will take your car, not pay the full amount, and they will hold the car and even hide it. They would rather not drive a car instead of paying the balance 1 or 2 million that they owe you. So even when you get a court order, finding the car will be trouble. And don't be deceived. You may never find the car. And when that person comes to a time of selling, they will sell that car to a district, like they will take the car and sell it in Bali, where it will be very hard for you to go and recover the car. That's why I'm telling you, normally when you're buying a car, call the number of the person in the logbook and ask them in a motor koji banja. So that if you also decide to not pay and take the car, chicho. So you need to know. So don't be deceived. This is another don't be deceived. That police can help you to recover your car. Don't be deceived that either police or CMI or BTBT or PSU or the army can help you recover your car. Except you're the one in the army, over your father, over your uncle, and you can just go pick the car, take it to the barracks and put it there. Tell the person, bring my money. But if the person is not related to you and high ranking, you may not be able to get that car. You get? Don't be deceived, guys, that the police, the army, that a lawyer can help you recover your car. if you don't have a clause that says you can impound the car at any time when you want to. That's why I'm telling you, when you're selling a car, make sure you have that clause indicated. Don't be deceived that anyone can help you like impound a car. Me, I've tried all those things. You go to court, now they tell you a sentence on the car was 1 million ton. They call it small claims. So if it is small claims, then the court has to write a letter. You take it to that person. Then when you take it to that person, he replies, probably acknowledges that they received the letter. You get it, and then you wait. And then when you wait and they don't pay, the court itself will go and impound. Don't think that the court is going to do it for free. All that time you're going to be spending money, hard-earned money. Now if you're demanding someone like 2 million, you'll end up spending the 2 million in trying to look for the car. You get it? Actually, if you talk to the car bond owners, some losses they accept naked and they let it go. 2 million, 1 million, 3 million. Some car, that's why for them they have learned now to include the clause of I can impound my car when jisangira wonna nebwa kusanga mujjamu wano and you're driving his car. Yeah, they can stop it, get you out of the car, drive their car because it's theirs. And in the agreement that you signed, it says they can take their car whenever they want. That's why the clause is included. So whenever you're selling a car, always include. No one will assist you. Okujako nga gwe jeno, wa gwe kano. But if you're going to be depending on someone to recover your car vehicle, just include that clause. Also, this is the other thing. If you're going to buy a car on credit, let me tell you this. This is person to person. Especially if you're a believer in God. If you believe in God or some sort of God, or if you believe in karma. If you believe in karma, let me tell you this. If you ever buy a car on credit, pay. Pay. People that don't pay debts, things end badly for them. Sometimes you don't even know that the universe is paying you back, but the universe pays you back. You get? The universe pays you back. Bw'obanga wagula emmotoka ku bbanja n'otasasula bbanja eryo kulimalayo, ojja kudda ku bigere. I don't know how this happens, but it happens. The universe always, karma is a bitch. I hope you know what a bitch is. A bitch is that ruthless. Normally when they say that woman is a bitch, is ruthless, she's heartless, she doesn't care about anyone but herself. So karma is a bitch. If you buy a car on credit, don't be deceived that you can get away with it. It will come back to bite you. You'll be evicted from your house and you'll be there thinking you have a debt that you did not pay. You get, like I told you, majority of the time when people sell their cars, they are selling because they need money. And the money they get when omuntu wakuguza motoka kubanja sente zako at that moment zaba yetaaga. Okitegeera. So bwogano mu balance way, they don't pray well for you if they pray at all. But even when they don't pray, karma doesn't care if I pray for you or if I don't pray for you. Okitegeera. Karma will come back to bite you. So if you buy a car on credit, always make sure to pay. You can pay in smaller installments. For example, you said I'll give you 1 million every month. You reduce and start paying that person 500,000 every month, but make sure that you pay that person. You get, because karma will come back to bite you, and when karma comes back to bite you, you may not know by the way, but don't be deceived that karma doesn't pay you. We said, don't be deceived. When you're buying a car, everyone will lie to you. Varying degrees, varying ruthlessness, but they will lie to you. The broker is the biggest liar in the conundrum. Now, if you go to the car bonds, normally these bonds, we buy it over timber. They have more than 5 brokers on a car. You come to buy a car, and the people surround the car. Now, the car owner doesn't even have to lie to you. These people lie to you themselves. That's why you need to be sober. You need to be sober. So if you're not sober, you need to have someone that is sober there with you. That's why normally I encourage you guys, buy cars from people. Don't go to those small used car bonds. The cars that sell all the cars. Try as much as possible not to go there. Because if you go to that car bond and they sell you a car at 3 million, it means they bought it 1.5 or 2 million. So if a car that was bought at 2 million, you could have as well gone and bought it at 2 million. And normally what these guys in the bonds do, they know how to wash cars. You'll find a car at UAA cleaner than a car at UBF on the road. These guys know how to wash cars. So if you are the kind of person, if you're the kind of person that good morning, eventually catch up later sooner, have a nice day, no problem. The topic, I'm talking about the myths, Steve. I'm talking about the myths. You make me happy if you mention the Ipsam. Martha likes Ipsam. So of course, Barros, we are talking about the myths that I'm trying to make sure that nobody gets deceived again. When you go to buy a car, you're on your own. You are on your own when you go to buy a car. The broker is the biggest liar you'll ever find. Then the car seller will not actually lie to you. The car seller will be trying, okay, even the broker is trying to survive. But the broker is the biggest liar in this circle when you're going to buy a car. The broker will lie to you. Okay. So, let me just buy something here. So the broker will lie to you, the car seller will lie to you, your mechanic will lie to you because the broker has told him it's actually okay to lie to you. You get? Over round your waist. So the broker will lie to you, the car owner will lie, the seller will lie to you, and the mechanic will lie to you. Now, majority of the time when these two, the mechanic and the seller, lie to you, the broker will tell you. And I've told you, don't be deceived that when you sell a car, that the police can help you recover money that is not paid in debt. Actually, the law says that okay, I'm going to talk about the COSA as well. So it's important for you to remember that police will never help you, the army will not help you, the court will not help you. Once you sell your car on debt and you don't have a clause, that says that in case this person doesn't pay, you're free to just go and collect your car at any time, anywhere. Always include that clause. Include that clause. Then I also told you, don't be deceived that if you don't pay your debts, don't be deceived that karma will not catch up to you. Karma is a bitch. You'll get problems somehow. I know someone that refused to pay my money. Sorry. I know someone that refused to pay my money. Yeah? Let me tell you, I sold him a car. I personally bought the car 3.5. I drove it for like a year. And when I was selling the car to him, I sold it to him for 6. And it so happens that he paid 5. He paid 5. And he had to pay me my balance of 1 million in like 5 months. 5 months is actually fair for someone to let you pay 1 million, which means you can pay 200,000 every month. The guy refused to pay my money to the extent of calling me and telling me to inacho jakunkola. You get? So along the way I gave up on the car. But let me tell you, this guy suffered. Eh? This guy suffered. First of all, he failed to fuel the car. I'm trying to tell you about the karma that will catch up to you if you don't pay your debts. He could not fuel the car. Najivako najiparkinga. But because now he didn't have money to even fuel the car, he decided to hide it because he knew I was coming for it. So he hid the car. But I had given up on the car. He suffered to the extent that he called me Nangamba Arthur. And I told him, but at that time I wanted 1.5 because he had kept my car for like a year. You get, eh? And I told him, if you're not paying that money, keep the money. Right now, as I speak, he's on foot. The car that he bought, let's say now he bought it 5 million. He sold it at 3.5. And it was a very good car. He sold it at 3.5. That happens when you don't pay your debts. Karma catches up with you somehow. You can even start saying abantu balogo, nayenga abantu sibachi, abantu sibalogo. It's just your bad manners that are leading to this. You get it? So always make sure that you pay your debt. Let me give you another myth. Don't be deceived that a car of 1.0 cc consumes less than a car of 1.3 cc. If you people use the cars for the same thing. And in Kampala, the Kampala roads, the way we load our cars in Uganda, it's important that you don't get deceived that if you buy a Vitz of 1.0 cc, you are saving more money. You are saving money compared to the one that is driving a car of 1.3 cc. I have told you, if the car is being sold as a 1.0 cc and there's a 1.3 cc version, go for the 1.3 cc version. Why do I normally say that? It's because the 1.3 cc engine is more powerful, yet carrying the same body as a 1.0 cc. This means that the 1.3 cc car is going to use less energy or less power to drive this body. You get? And normally when you buy a car, let's say 1.0 cc or a 1.3 cc, if it's a 4-seater, you're going to be sitting 4 people. So it's always better for you to actually have a bigger engine than a smaller engine. The other thing, it so happens that the 1.0 cc engine will actually get tired faster than 1.3 cc engine. So don't be deceived that you save any fuel. Okay, let me not say fuel, that you save any money driving a 1.0 cc engine. Why? Because even if you saved money in fuel, years down the road you're going to be buying another engine when the person driving a 1.3 cc still has their engine. And this is something that I've seen. When I was driving 1.3 cc Vitz, a friend of mine was driving a 1.0 cc Vitz. Along the way, his Vitz overheated. Mine did overheat. Now, one of the reasons cars overheat is because of overloading it or using it for more, forcing it to use a lot more power than it should be using. You get? So it's important that we understand. Don't be deceived that you'll save any fuel. The reason, the first Vitz that was created was a 1.0 cc. The same thing applies to the person. Do you know why they go ahead and make a 1.3 cc version? Because the 1.0 cc version has no power. Because that version has no power, they create a version that has some power that gives it durability. You get? That's why it happens like that. So it's important that you understand that it's a myth. It's a myth. Yes, you saved power before they created the 1.3cc version, which is actually smaller than the 1.8cc version. I don't know if you get me, guys. They created the 1.0cc version when there were only 1.8cc versions. So 1.0cc compared to 1.8cc version, you were saving a lot of fuel, saving a lot of money. But when they brought the 1.3cc version, now the 1.3cc version was actually saving fuel and giving you power as well. So at that time, it did not make sense for one to have a 1.0cc, because if you're going to be having a 1.0cc and have the number, for example, I travel with my family in the morning and in the evening. If I'm going to be driving a 1.0cc, climbing the hills that I climb, going down hills, driving in the bad roads that I drive, in a 1.0cc car, it's better that I get a 1.3, because then I'll have more power to climb the hills, I'll have more power to maneuver the potholes, more power to maneuver the what do we call them, the humps. You get it? And then, you know, the bigger the engine, the better it is, the easier it is to accelerate. So it's always better for you to have a bigger engine when you can. That's why when governments are buying, the government is buying cars, they don't go for 1.8cc engines, they go for 3.5, because that engine will live longer. What is that? What to say? The engine will not die soon, so it can actually travel to further districts without breaking down. It's not by accident that governments and NGOs buy big cars. It's not just for comfort, it's also for durability. The engine takes a longer time to die. You can imagine the government buying a Vitz, whichever version. This government official has to travel to Chisoro every day, or twice a week. The Vitz will break down faster than the V8. That's why they buy the V8s. Besides, they don't buy the fuel. So their concern is not the fuel consumption. Their concern is how many years can we actually drive this car before it breaks down. So the smaller the engine, the sooner it will break down. That's why you realize that the Vitz, 1.0cc Vitz, by the time it makes its 10th year or 20th year, baba bajichusiza engine emirundi ngesatu. It doesn't make it a bad car, it's just that the engine was weak. So that's the other myth that I wanted us to break down. The other myth that is important for you to understand, you see the fuel price for Total, 5,890. Don't be deceived that you save any money when you go to a petrol station that is selling you fuel at 5,600. Don't be deceived that you save any money. Why am I saying that? Majority of our people here, they munywa mafuta ga mitwalo 2.5. It's very hard to find a Ugandan that actually buys a full tank of fuel. It's very hard. How much are you saving when you buy fuel at 5,600 when the standard price is 5,800? It's 200 shillings. 200 shillings times 5 liters. You're saving 1,000 shillings at the cost of spoiling your engine. At the cost of spoiling your engine. You get, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. The only person that should actually be thinking that, oh, maybe the 200 shillings makes sense, is a person that is going to buy a full tank of fuel. And normally a full tank goes between 50 liters to 50 liters to, let's say, 80, depending on the car you have. So if I'm going to be buying a full tank of fuel, okay, let's say I'm buying 50 liters and I'm saving 200 shillings, that means I've saved 5k. But for us that have families, 5k can buy a loaf of bread. But if you're saving 1,000, But most of the time you'll find that the person that can buy a full tank of fuel, they don't go to those bad fuel stations. They still go to reliable fuel stations. You get? So don't be deceived that you save any money when you buy cheaper fuel. For example, Total is selling or Shell is selling at 5,900, and you decide that you want to go and buy fuel at 5,500. You're not actually saving any money when you do that. You're spoiling your engine in the process, spoiling the fuel pump, because you're giving the fuel pump dirty fuel. So you're not really saving. The other myth about fuel you make is that by buying fuel in doses, you're saving money. You're not saving any money. Let me tell you when you save money, because time is money. The only time you save money is when you go to the fuel station, because whether you like it or not, you're going to use that fuel. Me, the reason why I put a full tank of fuel in my car is because I will use the fuel whether I like it or not. I actually figured that fuel, when I put small fuels, like 10 liters, 20 liters, the fuel actually runs faster. The tank dries up faster than when I put a full tank. So don't be deceived that bonywa yechebiri or saving anyo. Bajana kukubempewo, like nze bankubempewo lwenanye mitwalo 5. Yet if you put a full tank of fuel, you'll have peace. Tewera likirante emotoka egenda kusika, toina lugendo lowera likirira, okitegeera. So it's important that you understand that you don't save any money when you take small fuels. You don't save any money when you go to cheap fuel stations. You don't save any money. So don't be deceived by anyone. Okay? 2, don't be deceived. Now this is mostly for the guys that have cars. Don't be deceived to think that when you buy old tires, you know, there are those old tires that guys at petrol stations, the ones that fix tires, sell. Don't be deceived to think that bogule mipira mikadde kadde, bogule je mipira nogule mpira omukadde mutwalo mukaga n'ogusa ku motoka, nogula mpira omulala omukadde mutwalo mukaga n'ogusa ku motoka. Don't be deceived to think that you save any money. You don't. Actually, you're wasting money. Nze je mpira mikadde najigulange. I bought my first car when I was driving my Chibina. I'd go and buy an old tire at 50k. Let me tell you, the people that save money buy old tires at once. Ngamipia agenda nagula emipira ena ngamipia buli mwaguze emitwalo 2 sije emitwalo 8, and they put those tires on the car nagivuga emyaka 2 oba 3. That's where the real saving is. I have a friend of mine, I've got Ipsam, and they were selling this person old tires, 100,000, 120. I told him, Iban, you can buy a new tire for your car at 160, 170. And I even showed him where I could buy the tires, because that's where I buy my tires. I told him, they were even sending him a bad size. His car is supposed to have 185. They were selling 195. They were selling him 185. No, you're going to be and put a small tire in your car. It will make it unbalanced. I told him, don't. You go and see how much they are selling tires. Now, he put 4 new tires yesterday, and they look nice. First of all the tires are balanced. When you buy tires at a dealership that is good, they'll do free wheel balancing for you. So even the rims will be balanced, and then your car will look nice because it's got these really nice tires that have good tread. It looks like a monster car. You don't save, so don't be deceived to think bobange moroko otyokukwata emoroka giparking paka bofuna sente z'emipiira ogigulo gitekeko omurundi gutya. Morning Seth, morning Solo, morning Kish. Yeah, don't be deceived that you save any money by buying those used tires on the road. You go to a petrol station, those things spoil money, because it's rare to find those old tires that you can drive for more than 5 months. Yet if you put new tires on your car, you're going to drive those tires for a minimum of 2 years. But this is subject to the fact that your wheel balancing is actually good. Make sure that your wheels are balanced. Make sure that you have good alignment. Otherwise, you're going to regret ever buying new tires if you have bad wheel alignment and wheel balancing. So the day that you buy new tires and you put them on your car, make sure they do wheel alignment. Wheel alignment normally costs about 35,000 shillings. City tires, KMS tires, all those guys that do wheel alignment, they'll charge you about 35,000 to do wheel alignment. Wheel balancing, if you have not bought tires from them, wheel balancing will cost you 6,000 per wheel. 6,000. But they increased, I think, inflation. You get. So 6,000 per tire, that's about 24,000. 24 plus 35, that's about 50, 60 something. And the wheel alignment, guys, if your car is not good, for example, if it has bad bushes, they will tell you, then you'll go by and then your car will be aligned. For you to know that alignment is bad, straight, especially if you live along the roads as it tilted as to decide. If a road is straight, like the Entebbe Express, or it means the car is not balanced. It has no wheel alignment, proper wheel alignment. You get. So we have said, don't be deceived. One, don't be deceived when you're going to buy a car that either the broker, the seller, or the mechanic are your friends. At that time, they're looking out for their stomach or their kids. Two, don't be deceived that you can sell your car on credit and recover it. Hey, how are you? You want what? You sleep. So don't be deceived that if you sell your car on credit, anyone can ever help you to recover the car if the person you sold it to refuses to pay. We also say, don't be deceived that you can buy a car on credit and not pay and have peace. Karma is a bitch. It catches up with you. Karma is a bitch. Always pay your debts. We have also said, don't be deceived that you save any money by buying those cheap fuels. Also, don't be deceived that a small engine car, when there is a slightly bigger engine in that version, that a small engine will save you money. You'll find that you spend the same money one way or another. One way or another, you'll spend the money that you saved in fuel. I gave you an example of a 1.0cc Vitz. You'll spend the money you saved in fuel in replacing the engine. Normally, that's what happens. So if the car you want is a 1.0cc, but there is a 1.3cc version, buy the 1.3cc version. The car manufacturer did not make a mistake to make a 1.3cc version if the 1.0cc was actually very efficient. Normally, when these car makers make cars, they try as much as possible to make fuel saving very important. Now, the only reason they upgrade the engine and make it bigger is when the fuel consumption is actually not working out. For example, the engines are dying very fast, you get, or they have a lot of faults. It's normally because the engine is actually small and the car is big or the car is loaded. And look at most cars that have small engines. Enyongeza, it has problems. Terios, it has problems. There's a Pajero Mini, it has problems. The Duet has problems. The only car that has tried to survive with a small engine is that Vitz of 1.0cc. But most of those small engine cars have engine problems because for when a Uganda so knowing that you're going to be a Ugandan, always buy a slightly bigger engine. So today I wanted to break those myths. Someone has told me to talk about the Toyota Corsa. The Corsa is not a very bad car. Majority of the time people buy the Corsa because it's fuel saving. Actually, the Corsa will save much more fuel than the Chikumi. So if you're going to buy a Corsa, it should be majorly because of saving fuel. First of all, you'll agree with me that the Corsa is ugly. But of course, there is a Super Corsa, a Super. It's much more, it's prettier than its contemporary or the old version. It's prettier than it, but generally, Corsa bondabula bikabubi. And most of the times, people don't buy Corsas because they want to. A person will only buy a Corsa if they have failed to get the car of their choice. And they tell him, hey, I got a motor saving them after Corsa sikabi most of the times. So when you buy a Corsa and you hope to upgrade, echoberango chimanyi. You get echoberango chimanyi. Inti Corsa ojigura na ye oyinza okubulwa ajigura when the time comes. Because it's rare to find someone that actually is looking for a Corsa. It's very rare. Era nawe nchimanyi ojibuza because now you're considering it because probably emoroka nyoba do yagala ulumba giseeramu. So now you're saying, okay, ate bwe mbanguze kosa. Most of the times people buy kosa because it's the only option that is remaining in their budget range. But I discourage people from buying kosa because ate nayo bwetandika okufuna ebizibu ekutama. If it's in good condition, it's a good car. But when the kosa starts having problems, my brother, osobola okujeevuma. You get? So it's important that you actually understand the thing about the kosa. But fuel consumption wise, akakamoto kokavuga ne weyagala tekanywa. Okitegeera? Even mechanical wise, it's a very easy car to maintain. The tires are small because it takes tires 13 unless ngabagichusa. But if it has original tires, it's normally 13. It's very easy to maintain. But when the engine starts dying, because I think the Corsa shares the engine with the Rawum old model, those engines, the engine is very problematic when it starts failing. So it's important for you to understand. But other than that, you can drive and enjoy. I'm sure everyone knows someone on their village that has driven a Corsa for 20 years. Of course, it can't be 20 years, but for a very long time. So the Corsa is basically a good car. But if you can get an alternative that is preferred by everyone, get that alternative. You should always avoid to buy cars that people normally buy because they have failed to buy their choice of cars. You get? You should always try to avoid buying those cars. That someone wanted to buy an SUV, they wanted the RAV4, but then the RAV4 is highly priced, so they bought a Pajero GDI. Try as much. Corsas are not ugly, in my opinion, and I don't own one, but I know someone who drove it for more than 10 years. He has even bought a newer car, but it's reluctant to sell. They are not selling it because it looks nice. The reason they are reluctant is because, try and sit them down honestly, David. Ask them. If they are honest with you, they'll tell you, one. And the reason they are not selling is because they figure it's not fair for them to sell their car that has served them very well. They don't want to sell it very cheaply because it's not worth it. There are people like that, cutting hands. For you to give me money that is worth my Corsa, everyone will want to buy it 7 million, 8 million. I find that my Corsa is worth 12 million because of the service it can give someone. So that's why I'm saying I'm going to keep my car. Abana bange bajiyigiremu. Bajivuge when they are in their teens, bagenderemu ku campus. Okitegeera. Bayigiremu. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Some people are reluctant to sell their cars not because they love their cars too much. No. It's because no one is giving them what they think their car is worth. Corsas, I don't know when you talk about ugly. When I say ugly, I don't know if you know what I mean. Let me show you. You see that Subaru? That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Compare it to that Wish. The Wish is ugly. Okitegeera. Most of the times we think things are beautiful because we have nothing to compare it with. The Corsa, compared even to the Chikumi, the old model, the Corsa is ugly. But that's my opinion. Okitegeera. The Corsa is ugly. And like I've said, the Corsa saves fuel. That's why most people drive the Corsa. That Subaru is beautiful. Look at it. Let me just go forward. This Subaru compared to the old Foresters, this Forester is beautiful. Look at it. It's sexy. Ne indicators zininga zibakolanga bagala kusomoza. The way they But I get you. I know you get my point. The Corsa is ugly. Mbi. Okitegeera. But people drive the Corsa because it saves fuel. Tekanywa. But trust me, would you choose a Corsa over Primo? Of course not. The Primo consumes more fuel. The reason why people buy Corsas most of the time is because they cannot afford a Primo. I'm telling you this because I know from experience. I know so many people that will not drive a Corsa if the Primo was available at the same budget. But the Corsa normally is cheaper. You get. So you just sit your friend down and ask them why they are not selling their Corsa. I don't know which number plate it's on, but it's very hard to find a Corsa that is more than 5 million. It does not matter the condition of that Corsa. You get. There is a Super, of course, that looks prettier than the old model, but still, for me, they are all ugly. So most of the times, people keep their Corsas because of the fuel. Yeah. You have said that he's reluctant because Mama said I'm what sentient. Don't know. Ugandans overload small engines. Yes, JK. People overload. You'll find someone driving a 1.0cc Vitz and they load it like they are driving a RAV4. Najitekamu abantu mukaga ne mubutu natekayo ebintu kati ako ka engine dala kanawangala ddi. The same thing I told you about the nyongezas. When someone buys a nyongeza in Uganda, they expect the nyongeza to do the work of a town S. However, the Japanese car makers made these nyongezas to transport TVs, transport radios. They did not make the nyongezas to carry heavy stuff. That's why these nyongezas get problems here. The Kosa on you AJ, David, that Kosa on you AJ, he will be lucky if he gets someone to give him 4 million. I'm telling you this. I have a friend of mine here, Subura Kosa, which is on it's on UAH. It's the Kosa Super. It's the Kosa Super, and it's in very good condition. He's willing to sell it on credit, 6 million on credit, but he has had it for 5 months. No one is buying it. The only way he's going to sell that Kosa, because it has new tires, new engine, new interior, new body, everything is new. Ideally, a Primo in the same condition would be sold at 8 million, even on UAH. But he's struggling to sell this Kosa at 6 million. He bought it at 4 million, but he's struggling to sell it at 6 million, because that's just how Kosas are. Kosas at 3 million, 4 million, 3 million, 4 million. Now, a person who knows their Kosa is in good condition will definitely be reluctant to sell it at that money. You get it? And there comes our Terios. This guy has kept it. UAN is still on the road. Some guys are lucky. So you guys, David, I'm not trying to play the Kosa. Of course, that's my opinion. It doesn't make my opinion like the gold standard of things, but it's my opinion. I've seen people that have been disturbed by Kosas, and I've seen many people that bought Kosas because they could not afford the Primo, and the moment they could afford the Primo, they went for the Primo. You get, yet the Primo consumes more fuel than the Kosa. And I've also told you that the problem with the Kosa most of the times is that the Kosa shares the same engine with the Raum old model, and those engines are problematic when they start. It doesn't mean that that everyone gets these problems. Sometimes you can have a good mechanic. Sometimes you can have a trashy mechanic. Sometimes the engine has just come to a time where it has to stop. So I've not trashed the Kosa, yeah, but that's my truth. So someone is saying, I'm talking about a Noah here. How about the Noah new model? Kindly comment on, basing on the fact that it is for first time user. New model. I think one thing you need to realize that the Noah is one of the most reliable cars ever made by Toyota. One of the most reliable cars ever made by Toyota. Don't get discouraged to buy the, I don't know which model you want to buy. 2002, 2005, 2010. I have a friend that is driving a 2010 Noah, and I have a friend that is driving a 2010 Noah, and they have no problem. Someday tell us how to tell the difference between a good and bad mechanic. Jack, that's a very tough one. Let me come to that shortly. So the Noah new model is actually no problem. The only problem with these new models is that they don't have a temperature gauge. So you use your eyes. They have a temperature light. When it's red, the car is overheating. When it's blue, it's very cold. When it's not lighting, it's the optimum temperature. That's the reason why these Noahs overheat. And when it overheats some of those Noahs, the engine, you just have to buy a new cylinder head. You get it, and the cylinder head is expensive. So with those cars, you just have to make sure that the car doesn't overheat on you. Because if it overheats, then it's going to be very expensive for you to actually do the repairs. So you just have to know how to see the car before it overheats. But other than that, the Nuas are one of the most reliable cars that you'll ever drive. When you get it, just buy and drive. Just make sure ngasinda head teacher mukangamu. That's one thing you have to really pay attention to. Someone parked in my spot. Yeah, so a good and bad mechanic. People, humans are humans. It's very hard for you to know what is in someone's heart. I hope you know that. And mechanics, they will smile at you, they will talk to you, they will tell you what you want to hear. Even when what you want to hear is actually the bad thing to hear, is not the right thing. So a mechanic will actually tell you, because there is a time I tested my mechanic. There is a time I tested my mechanic. I know that the BMW is a very bad choice for me at the moment. It's a very bad choice for me at any moment, by the way. So I tested him. They had a BMW that has been parked in the garage for some time, and I told him, "Jagara BMW." They sent him mechanic. BMW, no. He knows in his mind that I want the BMW, so he will tell me what I want to hear. Is it a good car? He will tell you, "No, your BMW." He even told me how the owner just died. And the reason the car is not parked in the compound is because the wife doesn't want to remember about the husband, so she just wants the car sold. That's why they kept it in the garage. The mechanic will tell you anything you want to hear because they want to get money. That's a human thing, because you realize that even your brother will tell you what you want to hear sometimes. Even your best friend will tell you what you want to hear sometimes, because, well, they don't want to hurt you. But mechanic abantu. Yes, Sand, you can get it. I can't guarantee the number plate, but also you have to look, because this thing has the 1.8, but the 1.5 you can. So it's mechanics are people, and people are unpredictable. Today someone might be good and tomorrow they will be bad. And it has nothing to do with you. It's just how people made them. And sometimes I've told you that people are not necessarily bad. It's just that people are survivors. They do what they have to do to survive. I hope you get me. So sometimes what they have to do to survive makes them bad people. You get? It's like when an officer, a police officer, when a police officer is attacked by people, he shoots to survive. He doesn't shoot because he's a bad person. He shoots on the skin because he wants to survive. Yeah. So you guys, thank you very much for today. Thank you for being here. I hope I've busted a few myths. Martha, Kenneth, Moses, Nicole, Simon, David, Steve Barros, Emma Mokisa, Kish, Solomon, JK, David, and Elia, and Sons, and Mahenu. The Ractis is expensive because all cars are expensive these days. Yeah, all cars are expensive. Brian, also thank you very much. Maheno, just know all cars are expensive, and they are going to get worse, because remember now they are importing, I think 2008. Next year they will be importing 2009, and the newer the year, the more expensive it is. So that's it. And also the Ractis, the demand thing. The more people demand for a car, the higher the price. Yeah. So you guys, I take this opportunity to also tell you, I'm going to be running a marketing workshop starting 28th November to 3rd December, and we'll be covering a number of things. So if you have a brother, sister, friend who has a business in Kampala, the business is kind of struggling. Most of the times when businesses struggle and the capital is there, the problem is actually the marketing. The problem is the customer service. So in this training, of course, it has 3 plans. You can either choose either of them. We have a complete marketing complete marketing for small businesses. This covers everything from the basics of marketing, marketing planning, strategy, budgeting, digital marketing, customer service and customer care, and all that we're not to be covering in that complete marketing for small businesses. It's 160,000. The training is 6 days, 160,000. Now here you can decide into the marketing in Manyima Katono. So let me go for digital marketing. So if you want to cover digital marketing, that's why we cover digital tools, digital platforms, how to create a digital marketing campaign. Then we cover things like which platforms to use when you get, and we cover how to do budget for them, how do you create customer relationship management systems when you're marketing using digital and all those things. Digital marketing, that one is 100,000 still for 6 days. But you can also choose that I only need to learn customer service and customer care. So we have a customer service for small businesses, because most of the times the customer batugwako ne bagenda because of the way we treat them. Ebisere mu batumanyina kyokoze kichamu, but ebisere mu tomanya kyokoze kichamu because you don't know what is right. So you can decide to also come and learn customer service. It's also 6 days. There we're going to be covering dimensions of customer service, service quality. We'll be covering handling difficult customers, service over digital and phone and all that. So you tell your brothers and sisters, your cousins, your friends in town, well, in a business is struggling. Most of the times it's marketing, and it's marketing organizations. People are creating marketing organizations. That's why MTN marketing marketing, they make sure that they have that cycle running. So I'm going to be doing that training starting 28th November, that December. Why am I doing it at that time? It's because people mu December mwino kolera sente nyingi ate zigenda owerera abana mu January, zigenda okubeera mu January, because January February is chiba chita cheya. Normally people don't buy things, they are simply taking kids back to school. So December is a time that you need to take advantage of the marketing tools that we have at our disposal to sell as much as possible, to get as many customers as possible. So I'll be doing that training, so don't forget to tell whoever you can about it. Yeah, and also the tracking devices. But thank you very much, guys, for being here. It means a lot that I do a live and actually there are people that watch it. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. I already mentioned some people. Maheno, Ractis is expensive. Brian, okay, your comment has disappeared. I wanted to read it again. Samuel Grace, thank you. Elia, your new follower, thank you very much for being here as well. Yeah, but thank you very much. Have a very nice day. Yeah, ciao.